channel. If you're new, glad to have you. We're still working on the 68 C10. Still making some progress. Been a little slower here lately. Been doing a lot of outside work with the spring weather and everything warming up. So I want to try to get some outside work caught up. And but we're going to get right back on this thing and try to get this bed painted. I did run into a little major problem this week while working. I'll show you what we got here. It's wasn't good, but it wasn't all that bad, but a lot worse than I expected. Let's just put it that way. So let me show you what we've got here. So if some of you remember from a previous video, the tailgate had a bow in it. Looks like maybe over the years they'd hauled too much weight in it and bowed the center of it down, and it was bent at the bottom more than it was the top. And I thought we was going to be able to straighten it, and I actually had it on blocks and put a jack in the middle and was going to try to press it back out, and we got most of the bow out of it. And then I decided I better try to take this bed liner off the inside and see what I've got. And that's where I ran into the issue. Let me show you that. So like most of the rest of the truck, lots of Bondo and lots of rust. I should have known this was probably an older tailgate that they tried to fix, but you can see when I started grinding, they had fiberglass reinforced Bondo, probably a 1/4 inch thick, and then behind that is all these rust holes, and they're all along here. You can see there. So I just basically stopped on it. There's no sense of stripping it off if the whole bottom's rotted out of it, and I'm sure it probably is. So I'm just going to stop on the tailgate, and all of the work that we put in trying to get it straight was probably for nothing, but I do a lot of work for nothing, so I kind of get used to that. It slows you down quite a bit when you run into this kind of stuff, because you have to stop and obviously get a new tailgate. So got a new tailgate coming, and I'll show you what that looks like when it gets here, and we'll try to fit it up on the bedside and see how it's going to fit, how it's going to look. So I'll get back with you here in a few. For me, it'll be a few days. For you, to just be a few minutes. Okay, so here's what I have. I sourced a tailgate from AMD, or Auto Metal Direct, and came in, no damage, had it double boxed. Pretty impressed with the way they ship stuff. Price was reasonable, shipping was reasonable. So, but I've got the tailgate fitted up on the truck just temporarily. I put the bottom hinges on. I don't have the latches on, hence the duct tape at the top. But just to check the gap, and you can see the gap is good on that side. The gap is good on this side. So the reason this tape is here, this has a trim that goes all the way across the tailgate and lines up with the headlight or the tail light trim pieces, which is these. So these set on like so, and then the trim has to line up accordingly. So with that being said, I'm going to I got to drill the hose to put the center trim on, and I wanted, of course, to line up with the tailgate, or the tailgate trim to line up with the taillight bezel trim. So I'm going to take a few minutes here to get this lined up good, and get the hose drilled across for the taillight or the tailgate trim, so I can do that before I paint the tailgate or prep it to paint. The panel down here, you'll notice, doesn't have the Chevy emblem on it, but that's not really a concern, and I'll show you why that is. So this tailgate had the trim on it, and you can see the hose. So I've got to put those hoses back in the new tailgate so I can put the trim back on. So what I done, I run a tape line across there on my new tailgate, and then marked these hoses. The spacing on these is really not that critical, because the clips will slide into chrome. So when I bought this truck, they had chrome vinyl letters in the Chevy part of this, and you can see the paint's peeled and just rough in there. But and the letters looked as rough as this does, only it was just chrome on top of it. So what I done as a cure for that, when I bought it, was I bought a trim plate that went over the tailgate, and it's this plate here. You can see that just screws over the tailgate. So that pretty much takes care of the Chevy emblem underneath. You don't see any of it anyways with this trim piece on there. So that's what we're going to do there. And that's why I ordered the tailgate without the Chevy emblem on it. Didn't see any sense of ordering it when I already had something to go over the top of it that you wouldn't see any of it anyways. So we're going to take care of that here shortly. But right now I'm going to get these holes drilled and across here and get the trim lined up. So I'll set you up on a tripod and show you how that is. Okay, so what I've done here, I've marked center of my chrome, which is right there, and another mark down right there, which is right at the edge. So I'm going to just stretch a line of tape below that. There is a seam right there at the bottom I can kind of line my tape up with, like so. Then I have what I call it's a center punch, but I call it a sting punch. I don't know exactly what the right word is for it. I know it's awful handy. It's my buddies that I borrowed, and I need one right here at the end in order to put a nut on the back side of that. So just gonna so all that does is just put a dimple in it. All right. I'm going to drill these with a small drill bit, and then I'll get back with you and show you what it looks like. Okay, there's the first piece on. Got the center piece around the tailgate latch on. So I'm going to drill the other side. All right, got the hose drilled for the clips, and the chrome just temporarily put in place. I don't have the end screws in. That's why it's got a little bit of sag there at the very ends, but I don't want to put them on there and then have to take it right back off. But everything's good there, so I can go ahead now and get the tailgate prepped for paint. And I've got most of the outside of the bed sides ready for the final sealer. This side's done, the other side's done. I've got to start sanding, blocking on the inside all the way around, and the tailgate and the wheel tubs. I'm probably going to have to put another coat of polyester primer on those and block them one more time, and then looks like we're ready for paint. I am going to try to go ahead and get the wood and the strips for the bed, and for the simple fact I've got to work all of this down. This all shows this lip on the inside of my wood, and I've got some corner to clean up here, and then it butts on the back side back here. But you can see the tailgate now, it fits the bed. Well, before I had a big gap right here in the middle where the tailgate was bowed out, bent out. So that cured that problem. So pretty well pleased with the way the bed's turned out. It's a rough bed to start with, as if you watch back through the previous videos, and many of you follow me know, but it's gonna, I think, turn out pretty good. Still gotta clean up my hose for my side trim pieces. Some of the hoses are still there. There's a couple that I welded over that I'm gonna have to drill back out for the clips, but that's no big issue either. So, but I want to try to not put the chrome on until I get the bed setting back on the truck and aligned, because that chrome needs to line up good with the cab trim, and if I have to tweak it a little bit either way with my clips, I can, and make sure it's straight going down. So that's where we're at. I know I haven't been posting many videos. I'm just trying trying to get the bed done so I can move on to some more projects that I've got started or getting ready to start. Probably the next project I'll start on is I bought a 4-wheel drive S10 that I'm going to look over and see if it's worth fixing or if it's a scrapper. The body's pretty decent on it. It's got a lot of dents and some sheet metal that's kind of not so much dented up, but it's got some pieces missing and some interior trim pieces missing, and I'm just not sure at this point whether it's going to be worth fixing. If it wasn't a 4-wheel drive, it's a little ZR2 extended cab truck. So I'm thinking about trying to do just a budget rebuild on it if it's feasible. If not, then I'll just go ahead and scrap it out. So runs good, does have a transmission issue. So I know I'm going to have to put a transmission in it and tires on it right off the bat, which is going to be a pretty big expense, and I don't want to get more in the truck than it's worth, but that's why I'm going to try to get it in here and look it over and just see if it's worth it. And then we still got the 86 long bed that we're going to convert to a short bed, so I'm going to try to throw some videos in on that as I go along on it. Not sure when I'll start it, maybe a little later on in the summer before I start that. Main thing right now, my goal is to get this truck done and back to where I can drive it, cruise it some, and enjoy it. But appreciate everyone watching, and I know I've lost a few subscribers during this downtime, and I sort of expected it too. But you know, I just for me, it's hard to video with one person and keep up and have all the stress of trying to get a video out every week. So I'm not going to continue doing those every week videos. I just do them randomly as I get something that done. So, but again, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for your comments. If you have any comments, please feel free to put them in there. I'll always try to answer comments that's put on there. So have a good day.